Good morning. This Hallel Psalm, Psalm 118, shifts a little bit. The kind of disposition that we should have in regard to the rescuing love of God takes a little bit of a shift, and we kind of begin to learn about how we ought to receive the rescuing love of God, even as discipline sometimes. So with that said, I want to read verse 10 through 12, and we're going to spend a couple of days here on verses 10 through 12. All nations, the psalmist says, surrounded me. In the name of the Lord, I cut them off. Remember this kingly figure. All the nations, they're surrounding me. In the name of the Lord, I cut them off. They surrounded me on every side. In the name of the Lord, I cut them off. They surrounded me like bees. They went out like a fire among thorns. In the name of the Lord, I cut them off. You know, if you light a fire on dry thorns, it goes quick. Bees, man, they swarm and they come around you, saying, this is what I felt like. My enemies were around me. Now here's our temptation. Enemies are around you. Life is happening to you. Difficulties coming. The evil one is bringing circumstances, and you go, maybe God doesn't love me. I don't feel that love. This isn't how I would love my child. And so now, because your limited perspective about how you would love someone or what love ought to include, now God is unloving. I want to caution you. God uses foreign and enemy entities to us. That's what these are that he's talking about. Foreign and enemy entities to us to help us learn love. Foreign and enemy entities to help us learn love. This is crucial for us to realize, because we're tempted to feel so under it that the circumstances dictate our perspective. And as that happens, we impute things to God that are just not the case. Whether we state them or not, we feel that sometimes. But you need to recognize that God is always at work on you, even in negative, difficult, challenging circumstances. Listen to David's language in Psalm 63 when he was in the wilderness of Judah. Oh God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you. But listen, as in a dry and weary land where there's no water. That's where he's at. That's how I feel, he says. But I'm thirsting for you. So I've looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory, because your steadfast love is better than life. My lips will praise you. What David had the capacity to do is something we need to learn to do, which is to look out beyond our circumstances, to see God's hands of love, even in the midst of what feels like a drought or might feel like the enemy is coming against us. There's an old kid's song. I used to sing it in church when I was a kid. And here are the lyrics. Some of you might know the song. You know, it kind of goes, he's still working on me to make me what I ought to be. It took him just a week to make the moon and stars, the sun and the earth and Jupiter and Mars. How loving and patient he must be, because he's still working on me. Then there's this verse, there really ought to be a sign upon my heart. Don't judge him yet. There's an unfinished part, but I'll be better just according to his plan, fashioned by the master's loving hand. Don't forget that about your own life. And sometimes the master's loving hand comes with what I like to call the hard edge of grace. And it's a stern grace, and God is teaching you, and he's teaching you through difficulty and challenge. The psalmist here is surrounded by enemies, but that doesn't mean the Lord has given up on him. Rather, the Lord is using them to shape him and form him. The rescuing love of God is not removed in these contexts, but rather it will be demonstrated even through the challenges and enemies that are faced. May the Lord bless and encourage you with that thought today. Take care.